Welcome to the 700 Club. Death threats are rising against the Supreme Court. The government is now preparing for a surge of violence after the court's upcoming decision on abortion.
Federal agencies are investigating multiple warnings of attacks. Caitlin Burke has this look at the possible fallout if Roe v. Wade is reversed.
The threats began just after the leak of Justice Samuel Alito's draft opinion on overturning Roe v. Wade earlier this month. Social media users then began threatening to storm the Supreme Court, burn it down, and murder justices and their clerks. Not long after, this fence went up.
The good men and women at Homeland Security have been right before, and I have to assume they're right in this case. And so the threat level has increased significantly since that draft was improperly released. But we can't let that in any way intimidate our federal judges and or the rest of us.
A DHS memo warns that a broad spectrum of domestic extremists are adopting the narratives surrounding abortion rights. And while abortion-related violence is historically associated with those who oppose abortion, threats are now also coming in from those on the pro-choice side.
These are the same radical groups who want to transform fundamentally the American society. And our society was originally built as a freedom-loving, God-loving society.
Protests surrounding abortion rights have largely been peaceful. However, the office of a pro-life organization in Wisconsin was recently vandalized and damaged by fire. This message left on the building's wall. Experts worry the recent mass shooting in Buffalo, New York, also has implications on the potential violence surrounding a Roe decision.
They're misinformed. They're listening to the mainstream media who are feeding those types of violence and disinformation about abortion, about all of this stuff. And yes, there's a risk here that people like that are going to stoke further, not just disagreements, but actually foment unrest and violence.
The Department of Homeland Security says it remains committed to protecting Americans' right to peacefully protest and will continue to work with its law enforcement partners to ensure no acts of violence are committed. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Well, we all need to be committed to free speech, the ability to petition your government for a redress of grievances. But all of that was predicated on democracy. When the Supreme Court makes law, it's not a democracy anymore. These are appointed positions. They are not elected positions. And so there's no place for the electorate to go if they disagree with a Supreme Court decision, which is why we really need to underline with judges, don't make new law. Don't do that. Exercise judicial restraint. What we're going through as a country is all based on a Supreme Court that said, well, we know what's best for the country, and even though they can't get it through the legislature, we'll get it through and create rights that aren't there in the Constitution. As a result, people feel disenfranchised and they feel alienated from their own government. That needs to stop, and it needs to stop right now. Another thing that needs to stop is incitement to violence, and I'm reminded of Senator Schumer's comments a while ago, essentially calling out the Supreme Court if they made any changes. We need to stop that on the political level and say, here's how we change things in America. We do it at the ballot box. We elect representatives who support our positions, and we let the majority make those decisions, and we let the election make those decisions for us, and we abide by elections, and we abide by the results of elections. Well, in other news, Israel could be heading for a new election once again. John Jessup has that story from Washington. John?
That possibility, Gordon, arose after another member of Israel's parliament resigned Thursday from the ruling coalition, pushing Prime Minister Naftali Bennett's government into the minority with just 59 seats in Israel's 120-seat Knesset. Bennett's alliance, though, is still in power for now, but likely will have a hard time functioning. His coalition consists of politically diverse entities from the right, left, and center, and for the first time, an Islamist Arab party. The woman who resigned is an Arab member of a left-wing party. She accused the coalition of moving to the right and criticized its positions on Arab Israelis. But the opposition itself also is deeply divided. If it does bring down Bennett's government, new elections could be held this fall. Well, turning to Ukraine, where President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia has destroyed the industrial Donbas region. He also accused Russia of killing as many Ukrainians as possible. And there's new video showing the impact of the war. Footage taken from a medic's body cam smuggled from Mariupol, showing wounded soldiers from both sides getting treatment. Yesterday, Zelensky told a group of Ukrainian students the final stage of the war will be the most difficult and the bloodiest, which is why he's not calling on citizens to return home yet. More than 6 million Ukrainians have fled the country, with over 3 million going to Poland, and CBN is there to provide them with food, education, and the gospel.
Behind me is our amazing Orphans Promise Training Center here in Warsaw, Poland. We're going to be able to serve and reach 150 Ukrainian refugee children every day. Our staff actually came to Warsaw, Poland 7 years ago. They were called by God. They didn't know why, they didn't know the reason, now they do. Thanks to Orphans Promise and Operation Blessing, CBN's family of ministries, we've been able to feed children, families, through this training center. I'm so excited for the future, but you know, this building's not ready. We're working in the next couple of weeks to get it ready to teach Polish lessons, educate children, have them in after-school clubs so they don't fall behind even though they're Ukrainian. They can excel in school here in Poland. But we need your help because there are more children that need us. Not only do we educate, not only do we serve, but we disciple. We share the gospel. We see salvation. Just this week, I had the amazing privilege of attending a baptism of a teenage Ukrainian refugee girl, 15 years old. No greater privilege. But I believe there's more baptisms to come. But we need you. We need your support. We cannot do this without CBN's incredible partners. So if you're partnering, thank you. But please consider joining hands with us so that we can reach these incredible refugees here in Poland. Thank you.
When I heard that that office opened 7 years ago, Gordon, I'm reminded that 7 is the year of completion.
It is, but we've been there. We've been there for decades. We've been there because people like you cared enough to give, to say, yes, I want to be a part of it. And if you're not a member, I encourage you to join with us. Portion of every gift goes into the work of Operation Blessing. You just saw it working very tangibly and very hard on the border of Poland. And it's all because people cared enough to give. So if you want to join, call us, 1-800-700-7000.